All right. Morning, everyone. Let's get going. All right. Nice bounce last night on the U.S. session. Maybe they knew that there was a little Chinese injection coming. I don't know. But market traded well, I think mostly because of the Fed's kind of dovish words. They kept the extended period of time language in there, which I think was kind of everything, to be honest. I think that there's the consensus right now looks like that most of the fund managers are expecting the first rate hike to come in spring next year in the States, which is really only about 6 months, well, maybe a little bit longer, 6 to 8 months away. And so the fact that she left the language exactly the same maybe kind of pushed that timeline out just a touch longer. So you can obviously see that we had a nice reaction on the back of that in the States last night. Traded very well. We also had some producer price inflation numbers that came out yesterday that were, benign, kind of giving them the ability to sit on that for longer. All right. If you look at what happened in Asia, totally mixed action. Actually, I think disappointing in Asia after the Chinese government came in and made the 500 billion yuan injection, about $80 billion, if I'm not mistaken, into the banks in a sort of lending facility there for the banks. I think more than anything, it probably just points to the fact that there's some real red flags that are going on there at the moment, and that things are, in a bit of in dire times, to say the least. I think in China, we showed the cement production. We're showing, all those types of numbers that we've been seeing. The data points that have been coming out have consistently been very, very soft. I don't think there's any way they're meeting their 7.5% growth target on GDP. It's going to be very, very interesting to see when those numbers actually do come out. So Australia, didn't really perform like maybe you would have thought it would after the back of that. We did have Hang Seng that traded well. We also had Shanghai that wasn't up after that. So maybe a bit disappointing, but we did have the miners in Australia that rallied a little bit on the back of that. All right, chart of interest this morning from Bank of America Merrill Lynch via the little guy. 70% of fund managers are underweight local equities. 100% of them see them as overvalued. That's quite an interesting interesting little statistic there. So I think that's kind of been part of the reason for our the way that our markets is traded, and we have been seeing a pickup in volatility a little bit later, but we really could probably need a washout for us to return a little bit more to normality and get some of the guys in and looking elsewhere. I think the lack of IPOs here has been so drastic that the guys haven't had enough of an area to stuff their cash, and you can't take money offshore the same way you can do it in other places. So it's left stuck here looking for a good home and obviously providing some overpriced assets. All right. If we look this morning, we had CFR, which was out with 5-month constant, or with its first half numbers here, our first quarter numbers. We had 5-month constant sales, FX sales that were up 4%. Expectations were for up 6%. Americas were in line at 12%. Asia Pacific was a bit of a shocker. No surprise there. I think just on the back of the fact that we've seen just lower and lower demand out of China because of some of the crackdowns in bribery, and obviously a lot of those really expensive watches and things like that were a big part of that. That also mentions the weakest start to a year for them since the recession. So I actually think they're very shocking numbers out of CFR. We're definitely expecting a lower open. Not really sure what. I saw Julius Baer was calling it down 2% on the open this morning. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more than that today. And then we've got Rimgrow as well. It's coming out with numbers a little bit later. We've got Standard Bank this morning, which was raised from equal weight to overweight at Morgan Stanley. We got Nedbank was cut to equal weight versus overweight by Morgan Stanley, and FirstRand, which is cut to equal weight versus overweight at Morgan Stanley. Right, in the The market data side, we have local CPI at 10 this morning. We've got Bank of England minutes a little bit later, as well as jobless claims change there, and ILO unemployment rate. Then we've got the CPI numbers for the ECB. And later in the States, we've got mortgage apps, we've got CPI, we've got current account balance, the Fed with QE3 pace and the FOMC rate decision, as well as retail sales here locally at 1 o'clock. So just keep an eye out for that today. I think those retail sales numbers will be especially interesting probably here locally. Obviously, some of the stuff later in the States will be good. All right, let's get into the maps. All right, first thing that we're going to take a look at here is CFR. CFR, we obviously know, we know what the story is here. Shown this chart 1,000 times. We've just kind of been in the tightest little non-event of a range now forever, and you can see that we obviously, since we dropped from support and this little broadening formation, we've really just been consolidating underneath it. Zoom it forward. For the most part, that consolidation has been underneath resistance, and you really can draw a nice little flag here. A little flag Ruski, and we look like we're really going to drop out the bottom of that this morning. I think there's been a few head fakes there that looked like that we were dropping support, but this morning I think we definitely get down there. I'd like to see this thing get below 200 or get below 100. As you can see here, been a lot of bounces off the 100 level. There's two, three, call it 10 that bounces off the 100 level, and that's been the low literally for, I don't know, 10 months. So that's what I would look for this morning. If we see it get below 100 and can start to hang there for a little while and maybe even push a bit lower, then I think maybe that's the what you're looking for to maybe potentially look to catch a short on CFR. All right. Let's look at Sasol. I know I showed this chart a couple days ago, but yesterday really outperformed the market for the most part. And you can see here we reversed again. I'm going to just, if you look there at that level that I've just put up there, you can see all the little wicks that have come off this level. So I'll actually show you. It's kind of where we broke out from here as well, right around 615. And we just reversed off of that level so many times, so many wicks off of that level. And we've done the same thing here. What makes it interesting, let me just take this away, is because if we do get a little bit more of a reversal, and we can get back up, obviously through some of those previous highs, when this thing's going to be looking like a beautiful little inverse head and shoulder setup, that could take us significantly higher. We had the rand's been weak, obviously, still continues to be weak. We've had the oil price probably bounced about 3% in the past 2 sessions or 3 sessions. So Sasol may be setting up for a nice little reversal to the upside here. If we're predicting patterns, we'll stick with that theme for just a second. Not saying that it's going to happen, but the setup is kind of coming there. That's Truworths on the inverse head and shoulder as well. Definitely the setup is there. You can see here the neckline's way north of this. So if this plays out, you've got a huge target on it. And we had a big reversal yesterday. Actually, we took out the lows, the recent lows for September, going all the way back to August, and took it out at the beginning of the session to reverse to close above the previous day's high. I don't think you can call it a key reversal because this trend just hasn't been going on for long enough, but it was a reversal nonetheless. I think that this thing, if we can continue to drift a little bit higher here, the setup's there to me to potentially take out the neckline up here maybe, and really make a very big target here on Truworth. So watch that as it plays out in the next few sessions in Truworths. All right, the next one we'll look at is Barlow. I know that we showed this, what was it, yesterday or the day before, and it was actually a little bit late to the party to show that, but we bounced right up to support as of yesterday. And I think we got to watch this one today. I think interesting setup here, interesting opportunity. It's also, if you back it out, let's just back it out a little bit further, a little bit longer term. There's also some support that comes in, if I'm not mistaken, right around here, around 90, which is kind of where the target where we looked for. So that some of that long-term support. You can look here that this 100 level was just such a massive level, and we finally dropped out of it. So I think this, we are obviously, we definitely have dropped support. If we fail this support on this little broadening formation again this morning, then I think we've potentially got we've potentially got a move down to 90 coming in Barlows. So it could be a good entry if we fail again there this morning. Okay, the next one I'm going to look at is Baidu out of the States. The reason I'm going to show this is that the day before yesterday, we dropped support on Baidu. So Baidu had a little bearish breakout there, dropping support, and really what's been kind of an island breakout here. And so we reversed below support here at about 213, and yesterday we just had a really strong session out of it in the States, which that breakdown's really starting to look like a head fake now. I don't know if the selling kind of maybe is over with, but you had the reason why I'm showing is you had the exact same thing in Tencent. I'm not going to show you the chart in Tencent, but you had this big reversal in Tencent. Interestingly enough, Naspers also dropped support yesterday. The kind of action of the last couple of months has looked kind of similar, but I think we'll look to regain that level again at 1270 in Naspers, the same way that we regained the level yesterday in Baidu. So maybe a really good leading indicator in the States at night, to see what's going to happen to Tencent, seeing the way that Baidu trades in the evening before we close. And watch that closely. We could have a nice move above 1270 this morning. Could be a nice fake out and a hard reversal to the upside from there. So watch that closely in the next few sessions. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.